This is a drawing of the layout of the buildings. I've been asked quite a lot of questions in the comments about the layout, and people are getting a little bit confused because there's quite a few buildings. So I thought I'd just film this again. I have filmed this once before. I think it was in episode 12. I've been out here 2 minutes and I found this. It looks like a piece of floor tile. It looks really pretty actually. Hope you can focus on that. But yeah, it's quite thick. I should do tiny spit and polish, shouldn't I? And it's obviously red and yellow colours. Wow. dug over this half of the bed, took out all the big rocks and a lot of roots that were in there, and I'm going to plant some potatoes now. So you can hear some noise in the background. Of course it's the river, I can't do anything about the river, it's behind me, so you're going to get that in the background anytime I record out of here. Anyway, I'm going to dig some little trenches and plant my potatoes. I've just noticed that it's quite breezy out here as well, and the wind is shaking the camera slightly, so I'm sorry about that. Anyway, if I was back in the UK and I had somewhere to plant things, which I didn't when we left, but if I was planting potatoes, I would have planted them around the middle of March. Usually try to plant them around St Patrick's Day. So we're about a month later than that, so it's a little bit late here, because I had nowhere to put them. I have been chitting them, and I did say chitting. I'll show you. And these are Charlotte potatoes. Let's bring them in so you can see them. These are Charlotte potatoes, and I've had these in the bottom of my little zip-up greenhouse so that they can get the sunlight and they start sprouting, which they call chitting, and it helps them to get a little bit of a head start usually. So they've started already. So what I'm going to do is plant them obviously with the shoots pointing upwards. I'm going to dig some trenches and I'm going to put them in the bottom of the trench and just cover them. So as you can see, in this half of this raised bed, I've dug the trenches for my potatoes, and I've actually placed the potatoes in there. I've dug 4 trenches with piles of earth either side, and then I've placed the potatoes in there, as you can see, with the little sprouts pointing upwards. And then I'm going to backfill those very slightly so that the little sprouts are just at the surface, and then as they grow I will backfill them from these sides so that the earth gets mounded up around them. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to fill those in. Yeah, we can see that one's got good sprouts on it, hasn't it? So what I'm going to do is just brush some of this loose earth around from the sides so you can just about see the little sprout. So they're still getting a tiny bit of daylight. Let's get rid of that rock. They're still just under the surface there. Then I'm going to give them more water, and they should start growing a little bit more. A week or so I'll come back and hopefully they will have sprouted a little bit more, and I'll add a little bit more earth around them. There, like that. I'm going to carry on and do the rest now. And that will be 20 potatoes. These are Charlotte potatoes, salad potatoes. So we will be probably eating these in the summer with some salad. Because there's just 2 of us, I will probably get enough for a meal each with each one that I dig up. So I've planted 20 there. I've still got some more Charlotte potatoes left, and I do have a few other varieties which I will carry on planting. But this is a start. Turned it on. No, he hasn't. It's a long way back. Right. See you in a minute.
in the UK, the badgers used to like to dig up my potatoes. I'm not sure that they like to eat them because they used to leave them on the surface. I think it was just because they like to dig up the worms. So I used to have to replant them several times, but I don't think we've got any badgers here. We shall see what pests we get. Although I love seeing the badgers. I didn't think of them as pests. Of course I need to label them up so that I know what I've planted where. Obviously these are the only things I've planted for the time being, so I shall remember. But a bit later in the season I might not remember which ones they are. So I'm going to temporarily mark them with the wrapper and a big stone. And then I shall make some nice pretty little markers eventually. We have the plastic Charlotte wrapper, and it still does say on the rest of the packet, so I shall still know what I've got to plant. Alright, so for the time being I'm just going to plonk that on here with a big rock so I can get a proper marker. Right, I haven't given you much of an update on the roof for a little while, but then it's going so quickly. I filmed this thing coming through the barn. She's at the back here now because this is where they're working. Obviously they've gone home now. But wow, the back of the barn now is all ready to tile, apart from the little bit above the lucerne, the little window thing there. And then obviously there's the gable end, the pignon. Anyway, there's that bit to do with the slates. And they're meant to be putting a Velux window in there because we do need some light in there. I think they'll probably cut that out. Well, they're going to have to cut it out afterwards, aren't they? I don't think they've forgotten it because they did ask us about it the other day. So that's where we are now. It's looking amazing. And within a few days, this side will all be tiled as well. Excellent. And then of course once this side is tiled and we can get rid of all this lot here, so you can finish doing my garden, because there's 3 beds here. We're just going to make me another 3 beds. There's going to be another 2 long ones pointing towards where the barn area is, and then there's going to be another one on this side. The reason for this design is that they will all be within a circle. They will all be within a 9-metre circle. Now my sprinkler reaches for about 9.5 metres. So this is the plan, is that with one sprinkler I can water all of these beds. Anyway, I'll keep you updated on that. Right, the roofers have just gone home and I've come down to see what progress we've had today, and it's looking really good. We've now got the window up there and we've got the roof on the lucerne thing, the little dormer window thing there, which I think is called a lucerne, and it's looking really smart. And they've started around the corner as well, so I'm going to go and have a look and see what they've done around there. Right, it's difficult to see at the moment with all the scaffolding and then all the timber here ready to go up. But it looks like they've built a completely new frame over the top of it, which is brilliant. That's going to look amazing. And this is ready for slates they're putting on this end, I think. The old-fashioned way was the wooden shingles, but they're going to do it with slates, so it should look really beautiful when it's finished. Yeah, so they've been busy doing that as well today. Don't know if you can see that, but yeah, it's pretty much all timbered up. I suppose they do the same thing as they do on the roof, probably put battens on it. But yeah, lots of progress again today. The attention to detail these guys do is amazing. They're up the top there, and you see those little spiky things that look like spines. They create each one by hand. I always thought they were pre-made things which were then put on the roof. Because obviously we've got them on the other part of the roof up there. And he's creating matching ones, but he creates each individual one by hand. So he takes off the ridge tile, he gets his cement, he creates the spike and shapes it. Very, very clever. And it looks amazing. Now the other chap's following along behind him after it's a little while to dry, and he's sort of polishing it off. Looks like a damp cloth or something. But no one's going to get up there and see every tiny detail. But yeah, that's so... yeah. Attention to detail. So yeah, they cement each ridge tile, which is like a half circle, and then create these spikes which holds down the ridge tile and makes a decorative effect. It's amazing. It must be years of experience to do this. But yeah, very clever. And they build the little pointy bit. Try and zoom in a bit more, it might not be very clear, but wow. That's what you call an artisan. Look, very neat and tidy. And there's the other chap. Amazing. Super impressed. Well, I've been pulling up a few weeds and obviously they're going in my compost. I've got quite a few dandelions, so I'm pulling some of those up and putting those in, but not if they've got the seed heads, because I don't want to replant a load of dandelions. And a lot of other weeds are going in there. But I've got quite a lot of dead ivy around, like this lot. I've got quite a lot of dead ivy around where Tony's pulled it all off the buildings, and luckily it's all dying. But I'm not going to put that in the compost just in case it regrows, because it's quite feisty stuff and I don't want to grow any more ivy. So that will not be going in my compost. Now, I'm not a compost expert, but I'm making up a big pile of leaves that have accumulated in the woodshed, because Tony's cutting up a whole new load of wood. So I'm raking all those out, they're going in my compost, along with some weeds that I've already pulled out, and I should be pulling some more out. And then the other things I'm putting in my compost are some kitchen scraps. You can see a bit of tomato there, and some chopped up bits of paper and cardboard, and some little twigs, not big twigs. And then I will be getting a little bit of manure, and along with some straw in it, like some stable bedding with some manure in from Adam and Deborah, so that will help to G it up a little bit. That'd be really good for my garden. Anyway, I'm going to rake all this together. Oh, I've also got, there's a little bit of sawdust in there, but bits and pieces as Tony's chopping up wood, as long as it's not treated with anything nasty. That can all go in there as well. I won't be putting any meat scraps, only veggies and fruit scraps. And then I shall be giving it a nice little water, so it's sort of moist but not soggy, and turning it over and trying to get it going. So as I say, I'm not a compost expert. That's what I'm up to at the moment, trying to get my little compost bin going.
Our overworked electrician is doing a bit of fishing.
You found a fishing rod out there?
No, he can brought his own, mate.
You brought his own fishing rod?
Yeah.
I can catch you something because I'd like to see what's he using for bait? His sandwiches.
Hey?
Is he using his sandwiches for bait?
I don't know. Well, that looked better, James. Cleared that up and take the ivy out. That looks brilliant.
Pardon?
That'll look better once you cleared that. That's good.
Well, I'm just pulling a few weeds up at the moment. I'm doing the leaves.
Yeah, good.
Pulling a few weeds up.
Good.
Trying to get me compost started.
What I should do is I should get up there and scrape all that top concrete off so it don't drip.
That would be good. But this sticky weed stuff's going a bit mad at the moment, and all this, it looks like mustard or rapeseed.
Yeah, we can't have that.
No, but it's good for the compost. We can do with that a bit of plastic rope. Ooh, it's all a little bit dusty. Come back to the rest in a minute. Right. I've come back with the flucket, bendy bucket, because it's so much easier for me to just post it in the top of the compost heap. And I'm trying to find as much green stuff, loads of weeds about, as I can, because normally I'd have grass clippings, but I haven't got any grass at the moment. Till we finish levelling up back, and then we will put some grass seed down. But for the moment I've got no grass clippings, which I would always put on the compost. Anyway, I'm trying to give a good mixture of the fresh green stuff and the dried leaves and a few other bits. Right, I had a few comments after my video the other day about the compost heap. Some people said it's not going to be enough, I need more than one. I might do, but it's a starting point, so I'm going to get the first lot started. It will compress down quite quickly. Surprising how many times you can add to the pile. I will be able to get in there and turn it, because I shall just open the two doors up and fork it over that way. And it's a bit of an experiment, so I have had compost heap before quite successfully. Even if it doesn't compost down within a few weeks, it will all eventually compost down as long as I keep turning it, as long as it's got some moisture and some air, and let nature take its course. So I put other things from the house in it as well, things like coffee grounds and tea bags. I have to try and remember to chop the tea bags open because the bags don't decompose. I think they've got plastic in. But the tea leaves are really good for the ground. And my nana was just emptying the teapot onto her roses, bless her. Oh, let's give it a bit more of a wake up. I'll put a little bit of this soil in with it as well, because where this has had the leaves and the bark from the, it's been a log store for a long time, so little bits of bark and the leaves that have come off of the trees in the courtyard. The soil obviously has got a fair bit of goodness in it, so I'm going to put a little bit of the soil in with it to get it started. Another load. Right, I'm potting around with my garden as you would expect. I'm actually messing around with the compost heap at the moment. But I've got some lovely little seedlings coming up. I've planted some sweet corn in the back corner there, you can see popping up. A few leeks, they're coming up. And these are horseradish. I'm going to plant these ones out shortly. I planted some physalis. Those are the little Chinese gooseberry things. They haven't come up yet. They were from some seeds that I saved onto some kitchen paper. And I planted some more spring onions, and they still haven't come up. So not doing well on the spring onions. I think it must be the seeds. They were a couple of years old, so I'll have to get myself, well actually I've already bought myself a new packet of spring onion seeds for that reason, so I better get some of those planted. I've planted out some extra herbs that you saw me plant the other day. We have planted out some runner beans. I like to plant those in these cardboard toilet rolls, because then I can just plant the whole thing into the ground. But yeah, things are growing. Might have a cup of tea in a minute. I might have a cuppa in a minute. Right. We've still been having problems with our electrics. The ongoing thing since around November time was asking them to increase the power, which we thought we were getting on top of. We had to wait for an appointment, and then the chap turned up, and then he couldn't increase it. 36 is the maximum that they allow, and he couldn't increase it above 18 without some work being done. So we booked all that up, and we've had to wait a couple of months, as you know, for the EDF people to come put the new cable in. And we think, yes, that's another problem sorted. But it's still ongoing, because then a couple of days later, when they should have automatically turned it up to 36, they tell us that they can only do that once a year. And because it's already been turned up temporarily to 18, that we have to wait another year. What they didn't realise was that when the EDF man was here and he raised it temporarily, I did actually query that with him to say, if you do it now and you turn it up temporarily, will I still be able to get the 36 once the cable is done? And he emphatically told me that wouldn't be a problem. But now it's turned out it is a problem. Although our very nice French electrician has been hanging on the phone for hours and talking to different people, and he's now managed to get them to back down on that because they gave him the wrong information. So they were meant to come today for an appointment between 10 and 12. Well, he's very kindly came here and hung around, and they haven't turned up. So of course then he's again chasing them up on the telephone, trying to find out what's going on, and they've told him they've increased it to 36. They've done that remotely. They didn't need to visit it, but they didn't tell us that. In the meantime, lots of things have stopped working. I've got various different sockets. My washing machine in the temporary kitchen's not been working, and some other sockets that we use for the kettle and toaster, they weren't working. Weirdly enough, we have a triple socket, of which 2 of the sockets were working for the fridge and freezer, and the other one that was connected to the tumble dryer wasn't working, which I find very strange. So we did actually call the electrician back, and he has had a look, but it's not his problem. It is a problem with RDF. So we've waited until today expecting them to turn up, and of course they've not come to the appointment, so now we've had to call them out on an emergency appointment, because since then we now have things in the Jeep which are not working. The oven is not working, the lighting in the kitchen area is not working, the hob's not working, and now this morning we've discovered the hot water isn't working, so we haven't been able to have a shower. So I'm not very impressed with the electric at the moment. So the French electricity saga goes on. Now they've told us they're coming this afternoon at some point, so we've desperately got to listen out for the bell and make sure we don't miss them. And then the electrician's probably going to have to come back after hours and sort it out for us. So we'll keep you posted as to whether we ever get our full 36 kilowatt hours or whatever it's called, and we also then get everything working that we need working. But this is a thing in France. This is something that all the English complain about, is the very strange, or we think it's very strange, way of the way that they sell their electricity. So anyway, on with the compost. Luckily we've still got a socket that works, so we can have a cup of tea. These last few leaves, quite a big heap, but it will set itself down in a few days. All compacted still. A bit more green stuff. A good amount of green stuff in there for the nutrients. It's been a bit mad at the moment. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to add that to my compost. Give the compost a turn around and then give it a drink. So, it's all good stuff, all good feed for the garden. And Tony can start filling this back up with some more firewood. He's chopping up the old timbers that have come out of the roof, the old oak, not beams, but the old oak supports that they pulled out of the roof that were all very wiggly, and we're going to save the best ones. He's going to use those to make me a sort of a fence with, it's going to make me a fence, but it's going to have the taut wires between the posts so that I can grow some espalier trees up it, hopefully. I've never done it before, I'm going to try it. But yeah, that's what he's going to build me, using some of those, and the rest of the worst ones he's chopping up into bite-sized chunks to store it away for some firewood. That's all free heat. So, we have a pretty big pile in here already. Well, a little pile. Anyway, I'm going to give that a good old mix up. There's quite a few green weeds in there as well, and a few other bits of household stuff. I'm going to chuck a little bit of ash in. That was the ashes of the little bonfire. This stuff is going in as well. Yeah, and I'm going to damp it all down. Don't think I need to cover it up. I mean, the reason why I was telling you to put a roof on is it's so that it doesn't get sodden, so that I can have control over how wet it is. And it also should generate a little bit of heat, We'll see how it goes on. Also, my flacket, as I call it, or bendy bucket, is perfect for emptying things through there, and it's quite easy, makes things easy for me to carry, so I should definitely be getting my use out of this. So here we go. So it holds an awful lot, but then I can chuck it in there on the top of the pile, empty it out. It's very easy for me to deal with. This has all been made to measure. And there we have it. Okay. Empty bucket. Easy to get it in and out. So there, people were worrying that I wouldn't be able to fill it up properly. Okay. Gonna make me and Tony a cup of tea. Then I'm gonna come back with the watering can and a fork. Also, because the roof is on this, it does make it quite dark, which is pretty good for compost really, because we don't want to be encouraging lots of things to grow. We want to be encouraging it to rot down, and hopefully encouraging some worms up out of the ground. I know there are some in there. So there we have one cleared out woodshed ready for Tony to fill it up. He's going to store all those other bits of timber there. They're offcuts from the roof that we've decided we can reuse in places. And it's a gorgeous day out here. So lovely to be able to put the washing out on the line. Yeah, one empty woodshed. We've got loads of it stored in the barn already. This was the previous year's supply that we've burned this year, and that was half full, and that's what we burned this year. So I'm back to the compost heap. You can see I'm opening the doors up. I'm going to give it a good churn up. I'm going to spread it out first, then water it, and then pile it back into a pile. And as you can see on the top there, I've even added some of the wood ash as well. So there should be quite a nice mixture in there. So I've given it all a bit of a churn up. Now I'm going to add some water and then put it all back into a heap. There's quite a lot in here, so I added a can full of water to get it started, and then I'll come back and see what it's like tomorrow and probably add some more if I need to. Right, I'm going to heap it all back into a heap and let it get on with what it's good at. So there we are, I've sort of heaped it back up into the middle, and I'll come and give it another drink tomorrow, I think. Pull it back up into the middle again. I'll check on it for a little while and then I'll turn it over each couple of weeks, I reckon. See if I can get myself a thermometer maybe. But yeah, I'm hoping it's all going to make me some nice stuff to put on the garden. So there we are, compost bin in use.